Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, so what I'm saying with your thing is it's not going to be quick. Some people are instantaneous. They'll get over it day one once learning about it. Like they believe so much it's TMS, it's over. Some take time, Mine took, when I got over my worst TMS, I had burning pain all over my body, much like you, like burning, severe burning. And
mine's now spread from my face down to my abdomen and my arms now.
Yeah. And I had severe burning, and that actually was part of my YouTube. You can see how I mentioned that. But I briefly got into the burning because my audience was for histamine, and I really wanted to hit home with those guys. But the burning thing was what made me stay in my room, and that crippled me. I nearly lost my job at the time. And actually, a couple months later, I had to go on disability. I was on disability for a year from this. And the burning was so severe. But when I learned about TMS and to be in a positive emotional state and also to stand up to it, I took a picture of my wife and I on our wedding day. And I looked at it and I sat by this offending thing that was causing this burning. And this is when I first emailed Alan Gordon from Tell Me About Your Pain. And I said, hey, will this work for histamine intolerance? And will this work for burning and all this and migraines and all this stuff? He goes, oh, absolutely. So I was like, okay. So I sat there where this thing would just cause me to light on fire. And I sat there with the picture and I was staring at it. And I did two things. One, I was in a positive emotional state because I was excited that I could possibly live my life again. And two, I stood up to the pain. So those are the two things you do. I stood up to it in a positive emotional state, and all of a sudden my pain went from a 10 to like a 2. And also you got to tell your brain the third thing, and I would write this down. Tell it to bring it on. Bring it on. That is like a key. All the TMS coaches, that's a key method. It's called the bring it on method. Tell your brain to bring it on. So I sat there and I'm telling the brain, bring it on. Make it worse. Make it worse. Make it worse. And it defeats it. It defeats it. And it was getting better. And all of a sudden my pain went from like a 10 to a 1. And I'm like, this can work. I'm like, now I knew I was sold that I had TMS.
Yeah.
But it didn't go away. Even though I knew
Still lingered.
I went by the offending thing at the end. It got worse. I had to avoid this offending thing again. And so I was locked in my room. I went back. It was repetitive. It's like you're working out in the gym, man. You have to go back. You have to go back.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. Man.
Yeah, you have to keep going back and keep going. So I kept going back. And then I completely got over this burning pain for like a week. Completely. And then when I got in a stressful situation, and then my brain goes, oh, by the way, this thing made you burn. Guess what happened? I started burning again. But then I knew it was TMS, and I knew it was called symptom imperative. I knew I was in the phase out stage. So I wasn't afraid of the burning pain anymore because I knew it was on the run.
Yeah.
Right? It's on the run. They call it on the run in this community. So when you have it on the run, it's going to be over eventually. So now it's totally gone, doesn't come back. But I'll tell you what, after 2 years of dealing with TMS, people who get TMS always have it. Okay? Always. But in a very small form that's basically painless, okay? Yeah. And it only lasts me like a minute now when I get it, okay? I'll get TMS from some emotional thing in my life, and I'll be like, yeah, or when I'm stressed out about something, I'm overworking, a lot of things, but it's very small, like I'll get a certain pain that'll happen for like a minute, and then I'll be like, it's TMS, it's gone. Easily defeatable. So,
yeah, right. Because also last year, you might go, wow, that's me. Last year, I got a cyst in the top of my head cut out by a doctor just to test it, and then when that cut out, it turned into a boil, and then that boil thing never went away, and then it started to go like other places, and he diagnosed. A dermatologist said it's folliculitis decalvans. Do you know that one?
Yeah. Well, my theory behind that is that once your brain produced that, your brain produced it originally.
But the thing is, I kept telling the doctors it's not that because this, and this. Yeah. And then they're like, no, it is that. And I said, nah, but it does this, and it's not as bad as that, and it does this, and it was doing weird stuff. And now that's like simmered down to, I had to put benzoyl peroxide on it every single day, to now where I don't think I've done it for like a week, and it's not even as bad. Like, it flares up and stuff. But yeah, and it was trying to be...
exactly. Okay, there you go. It flares up. Okay,
yeah.
Well, it's going to flare up whenever the TMS needs it. It'll flare up. See, I mean, I think the big disconnect with some people is that they think the body, you know, when it has boils and gashes and stuff, that it's coming from somewhere. But really, even though it's a legitimate boil, guess what produced the boil? Your brain did, right?
Yeah, right.
Even if it's legitimate for a reason, the brain produces everything on the body comes from the brain. So if it can produce it for a legitimate reason, it can produce it for an illegitimate reason. It can do anything. I mean, literally anything. Your brain could grow you another ear if it wanted to, right? It could, because it grew one. It really could. One.
Exactly.
It doesn't. I've never heard of this happening. That might be too far in the TMS world.
Yeah.
But I suppose it absolutely. I'm just trying to say that the brain, the body can do anything. You know? Yeah. It's just crazy. It's funny. A lot of people are like, well, you know, you're a Christian. You know, how could you go through this? You know, how could God put you through this? And I'm like, look, I think for one, I went through every one of these that people have is just so I could help people. Like, I got a heart to help people. And it's funny, like, I don't know whether you're a believer or not, but I tell people that my doctors are all atheists and stuff. And I talk to them about Jesus. And I said, you know, my TMS doctors, and I'll say, look, you know how it's hard to believe in Jesus? Because you're like, wow, this is weird. And why are these people so crazy about Jesus?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with TMS. Like, with Jesus, like, it's hard to believe in Jesus until you do. And then when you meet him, you get a new spirit, right? And God gives you a new spirit. You can't tell people you have a new spirit. Well, you can, but you can't show people. But you just know something changed in you. And the change, you know it's real. So that's like trying to explain Jesus and trying to explain TMS to somebody. Once you know TMS, you can't unknow it, right? And then now you're going to be telling everybody about TMS, the people that you know have this.
That's what I said. My friend said, you know, ever since we got COVID at the start of the year, me and my wife have had a bad back. And I'm like, that's TMS.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's that? And I sent him this thing, but it was probably like 1 million pages too long, and he didn't act on it, or probably just, you know, you've really got to really attach yourself with it, or it's just gobbledygook to them, you know.
Everything that I healed from, people at work, I had 30 people at my work seeing what I went through, and they have all these various ailments. They still don't believe TMS. Like, I'm telling my friend's his wife's on his third back surgery. She got back pain when her dad died. Sudden severe back pain. Third back surgery. I'm like, look, this is TMS 100%. They won't even read the book. They won't even read it. So, and I feel like what I'm trying to say is I feel like the same pushback from people about TMS is the same pushback I get when I try to tell people about Jesus. It's the exact same pushback.
Thing, man.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Jesus, man, I'm an atheist too, but me and my mate went to church for a joke a couple of years ago, and I'll tell you, there was this weird, calm, soothing feeling in the church for me, like, and I was there for like 2 hours, and then I didn't want to leave for something. My mate's like, let's go, this is boring. But I was just like content sitting there feeling relaxed or weird, man. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's like, it was actually relaxing to go there.
I'm 41 now. I was an atheist till I was 27 and never stepped foot in a church. And I thought Christians, I have a good side of it because I made fun of Christians. I thought they were nuts, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you believe in Noah's Ark and all this stuff. And, you know, God was born of a virgin woman and all this crap, you know? And I was like laughing about it all the time. And just one guy like me to you was witnessing to me down in Tennessee, and it just got to me. He's like, look, Jesus Christ lived. There's so much evidence that he lived 2,000 years ago. And he went to a cross sinless and paid for our sins. So, you know, we're all going to stand in front of the Lord on Judgment Day. And the only ones that will get through to eternal life are the ones that believe in Jesus, that he paid for them. And when they said that to me, it struck me. It was like, man, I am a sinner. Everybody, God says in your consciousness, he gives everybody the knowledge of God and that you're a sinner and you're going to be judged one day. So everybody knows in their heart they're going to be judged one day. And that's from God. And so Jesus is the way. So when I tell people about TMS, I tell them about Jesus too, because it's the same mind shift. Once you believe in Jesus, you'll be talking about Jesus like I am because you can't go back. But once you believe in TMS, you'll be talking about TMS because it's the same. It's the same. It takes the same psychological belief. You got to believe that Jesus died for your sins to be saved.
And I guess you believe so much that you know about Jesus, whereas now I was naive and dumb to think that it doesn't exist. Whereas now I'm like, I guess it could be. And I honestly don't know anything about it. And I did feel pretty chilled out at church, which was bizarrely, I can't explain it. And then with this thing that comes in your life and other things you can't explain, but like acupuncture, for example, that I do feel that the effects of that and have seen it work wonders in myself and other people. And now this thing that you and me know to a T, which even just talking to you now, I feel right relaxed. Did you feel relaxed when you were talking to these TMS coaches as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had no pain when I was talking to them. They're like, are you in pain? I'm like, no, I'm not. They're like, exactly. Because the thing is, your mind, it can't be.
Because when you're screaming at me saying, that's TMS, man, that's like, fuck, yeah, it is, man. It must be because too many things. The histamine thing, there's a few things me and you don't really agree with. Maybe it's because I just don't I don't understand as much as you, but I believe that there's something to do with some viruses doing this or something. And I also think that there's a actual histamine food relation with it because that all come before I even knew. That's weird, man. I don't know, but
I'll tell you what, your brain will always push for a reason to unbelieve it. Like, it's got to be the virus. It's got to be histamine. Those are just the brain.
I know. I believe it. I'm just saying that they're triggers or something.
Yeah, your brain just talks to you constantly to get you to buy this stuff. Like, think about all the thoughts in your head all day. Are they yours? No. Think about the crap that goes through your head. No, your brain's talking to you all day. Making decisions for you and constantly that you don't even know. No, well, I do it for free. Well, when I was doing it, it just cost so much. It was like $200 an hour, right? To see a TMS coach. And at the rate you needed to see one, I was so ill and broke at the time. It was just so expensive, Yeah. Yeah. That's a shame. I'm actually going to go. Yeah. It was a positive emotional state. And that's how pain's a danger. Right, right. Just like when you're talking. Yeah. Content. Yeah. Godliness with contentment's great gain, God says. Well, I'll tell you what. The reason why your pain goes away when you talk to somebody about it, like me, or things get better, is because your brain, the number one thing with TMS is preoccupation. So if you can divert your attention somewhere else other than the body, it defeats it. So the number one thing you can do, divert your attention to something else other than the body. And when you're focused, like when I talk to people on the phone and stuff, when I had bad TMS, it'd go away because my brain can't focus on the body. Therefore, the TMS is gone. You can't focus on the body and an intense phone call with somebody at the same time. You can't, So don't focus on the body. Are you there?
Yeah, right. Well, I have noticed that, but at the same time, I haven't been caring about it as much. So it is interesting that it still lingers. But you said even when you 100% know it is, and you're on your way for treating it, it can still linger for years.
It still can, but don't let that thought creep in your mind. Some people get over it in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it can. If it can, it will.
And is there any supplements you take, or is there any treatments you can do? No, it's all just telling yourself.
And Sarno advises
to keep away from it.
Strictly against any doctors, any chiropractors for back pain, because all it does is further buy your pain. It makes you preoccupied. You're going to the chiropractor, you're getting manipulations, you're taking pills. Pills are all the placebo, right? I was on so many pills. Trying pills, it was crazy, and allergic.
That's for me too. Yeah,
yeah, and
we're brothers.
Nothing works.
Yeah, right.
It's because nothing works for TMS. But what I say nothing. But the reason why I'm not a TMS coach is because one, I'm not charging people $200 an hour, and two, I do it for free because people are in pain. People need to hear it. I'm not trying to make money off anybody. I just want people out of pain, and then it also lets me tell people about Jesus. So that's two things that I do it for. That's it.
Fair enough.
So hopefully, one, cure them bodily. Two, cure them spiritually. That's it.
Yeah. Well, you've done a good job on me, man. I'm sure others will be watching this going, yeah, well. And we have evidence that it is linked to COVID, that it is linked to past traumas, even such things such as insignificant as a sunscreen on my face that set it off. It's evident. As you said, you've got it. So I'll keep going with that, man, and keep, heading in that direction. And just, who knows, I might steal my kid and take him back to Thailand and do that for a month straight or something, you know what I mean? We'll see what happens.
Don't be afraid if you're not progressing or if you are. It's that could be a placebo for you too. If you think, well, I only can be around my kid for this to go away.
Correct. I believe what you said.
You don't even need that. You could make it go away today if you just stood up to it and unbelieved it, basically, So you don't need to have your kid. Just like me, that's like saying if I just stay away from the foods, I won't be in pain.
Yeah.
That's the exact opposite.
It's
and
nonsense.
That's not true.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nonsense. So I can
saying that's actually dangerous.
Yeah, it'll just give your brain another outlet saying, I have to be by my kid. Joe has to stop eating his foods.
I just wanted to know the main thing from you. Are these symptoms so physical that they can be bad? And I take that yes, they are. Like, if I was to, man, I could feel my blood pressure plummeting in the shops that day. Like, I was going to faint.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, man, it was not good.
I was getting shots of B12. I know what you're saying. I was getting shots of vitamin C. I couldn't eat any food, so all my vitamins were so low. And I was having severe reactions to these shots, so much they had to monitor me for like an hour at the immunologist after these shots because my reactions were so severe. And they're like, why? Why are they so severe? No, it's because my brain could.
So you were having full-on anaphylactic reactions?
Yep.
Yeah. And now you could take those shots, no worries.
Yeah, and I can do anything. I've got no limitations. I mean, just the other day, the migraine tried coming back because of the offending food again.
Yeah.
Okay, I tried it. Well, I got all the offending foods back, but it tried slipping back in again. But what I did is I just said no. I laughed. I took another handful. It made me want to quit. My brain wanted me to put it down and say I'm done with it. But I just took another handful and ate it, and it completely dissipated within seconds.
Well, you know about my storm, COVID, losing my kid, the sunscreen. What was your trigger?
Mine was, one, getting married and having all this debt.
Oh, the 60 grand.
Because I was completely debt-free and, buying rental properties and stuff like that. And it completely changed. It infuriated me, apparently. And that, finding out all these things, okay? All these weird things like that. And I'm still married years later now, happily married. Everything's fine. And, but got married really quick, within 3 months. And I found all that stuff out. And so, and also at the same time, extremely stressful job position. So two things that I had dealing with these customers, just it's insanely busy, and I knew exactly what it was. And so it happened exactly right when I got married.
This one called Sarno, he said that he generally sees it in people like us, good guys, people pleasers.
Yep.
That personality.
Yeah, if you're a people pleaser, you can't say no to anyone, you're a good guy.
But I just thought that too we were.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know, are we hiding our real selves by being that?
Yeah, and actually he says you're doing a service to the world because actually you're hiding what's really there.
But I don't feel I am one bit.
Yeah, exactly, because you suppress it. It's so heavily suppressed it comes out in pain. Yeah, you're the nice. He said Sarno loved his patients because he said they're the nicest people alive.
Yeah, we are, man.
He said they're the nicest people. He goes, and yet they have. And the thing is, if you would just get angry and let this anger out.
I've never been jealous in my life. I don't ever remember being jealous ever.
Yeah,
angry.
Every human's born with the same emotions, right? But you suppress them, and that's what gives us pain.
But how can I get jealous? I just don't care of stuff.
It's suppressed, man. It's suppressed so heavily that's why you have pain. Like normal people get jealous. Normal people don't have pain like us. Normal people get angry.
I don't get angry. That's another thing. I don't even get angry. I don't get even. I couldn't. They're negative.
Yeah, that's why you're a gift to the world in terms of that. But normal people get angry. But normal people aren't held out in the room. Normal people don't have histamine problems, and because they deal with their emotions. They have emotions. So another thing they say is to journal. One thing a lot of Sarno wrote about. Sarno was like, how do you get over this? Because he said there's no right reason. But he found that journaling helped a lot of people. If they would just think of why they could possibly have this about your kid and start journaling. Yeah, maybe I'm angry at, my ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. Maybe I am angry at...
If one thing, I'm angry at the Australian government for locking us down that much and not letting... I couldn't even leave the country if I wanted to. And I had to see my kid. It was like hell. And then they're telling us all, take the vaccine, and they're clearly not working. And then, it was just like everyone's gone crazy, man. Doctors are like, what happens if you're not vaccinated? What happens if you get COVID? I'm like, oh, my goodness, I survived like everyone else that's going to get it, that's getting it across the world. Like, what is going on here? Like, that was happening to me a bit. I literally felt like this, what the hell is going on, man? And that all went with it as well.
I would definitely write about that. I journaled for a few months.
I've seen your book. You're a mental case.
Well, that was a different journal. That was before I had TMS. That was just trying to, because I'm like a figuring out analytical guy. I'm trying to figure this out. If people didn't believe what I went through, I wrote every single day down in Excel for 5 years.
Yeah,
everything I ate, my reactions, every burning, everything. So,
cool, man. Well, you've definitely
actually. I could write a book probably. That'd probably be.
You could, man, and you're a very good coach, and you understand it a lot. And there's only so few of these coaches. I don't even know how many doctors in Australia know about this, or to the extent that someone like no one knows it more than us because we have been through it. We understand human bodies like doctors can't believe, and they've worked on this stuff for 40 years, man. You know what I mean? I'm telling doctors that 100% real, and that can't be true. I'm a fucking doctor. That can't be true, but it is true, man. And it's becoming a big thing because everyone's gotten it with COVID.
All the doctors shunned Sarno. They shunned him. He should get a Nobel Peace Prize for what he figured out.
I think he will, man.
Deep insights into
posthum
things, and all the doctors. He was in a New York hospital, very famous hospital, and he never got a patient from any other doctor sent to him. He only had patients from everybody outside the state or the community, the hospital. Thousands of patients sent to him.
That was before the internet.
But definitely have TMS, man. 100%. You will get over it eventually.
I will, man.
It's a matter of time.
I've been there before. I've been in and out twice.
You will have lots of setbacks because once you start beating it, the brain will come up with something severe, and to even make it worse before it gets better, because the brain will try its one last hiatus to not let go of this, and then it'll finally break free, and you'll be free. So, like I said, journal about it. It's a good way to do it. Standing up to it. Also, just learning as much as you can. I think there is a really good TMS coach actually. Are you in Australia?
Yeah.
There is one, I think, on the Tell Me About Your Pain group. I remember she was in Australia. She's trying to get me to join her group. But they are pricey, but she went through a lot of pains too. But I tell you what, I mean, I'm always willing, if you need help down the road, just reach out to me, man. We'll jump on a quick Zoom or something.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. And I'm going to put all this.
I'd like to see you out of it.
Yeah, I'm going to put all this on a web page, on a blog post on my website, so it can help other people as well. And
I might put this. I should put this on my channel, actually.
Yeah, you can do that too, man. And yeah, we'll get the word out and get me healed, man, and we'll heal other people because we're selfless, man. We're selfless individuals. And
then you go back and you go tell that other woman, your friend who's dealing with the same thing as you are, get her out of this. Have her watch this video. So just start. The trick is, I think everybody that heals, get 10 people out of this.
She's been in it 15 years, man, and she's been in and out of it.
Eventually, it'll make national news, and then it'll be everywhere, and it'll have insurance companies. I told my doctor, I said, you should go to insurance companies, the top executives, and tell them about back pain and TMS, because billions of dollars are spent on disability payments for back pain and TMS, and they don't even know they have TMS. And get insurance places to cover TMS coaching instead of covering doctor's visits.
A bit of counseling and a mindset change.
Yeah, that would be a change in the world,
Yeah, no, it's cool, man.
But what I liked about Schubiner, why I've seen Dr. Howard Schubiner so much, is he only sees patients in Michigan, so don't reach out to him unless you're in Michigan. But what I liked about him so much is that he took in health insurance because he's an MD. So he was covered under my insurance, so it was all free. Every visit I had with the best coach you can buy,
Well, yeah,
so I met with him every 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. And he sorted you out.
Yeah, he said it was the worst he's ever seen. And
even he would have been doubting it first if it was TMS.
Yeah, I mean, I was allergic to things I won't even mention to you because it would like blow your mind. It really would. So, but learn as much as you can about it. Just keep learning about it. Steve Ozanich is great. The one thing that people say that Steve really believes that if you love others, you will heal, right? Jesus says the greatest commandment is to love one another, and that includes loving yourself. So big in the TMS community and on Tell Me About Your Pain and with Dr. Sarno and Steve Ozanich, Steve's whole meeting, I paid $400 to meet with Steve for 3 hours, is to love. Steve healed so much. He says most people are healing when they start loving themselves and loving others. And I'm like, how do you do that? How do you, do stuff you enjoy in life, take care of yourself, put yourself first a little bit and tell others no. Then you can't help them. Don't be a people pleaser all the time. You really, the 2-year-old inside you does not is super selfish and is not a people pleaser. And so that's what's giving you pain. So there's a lot of things people have to learn. There's not one thing that's a magic thing that you're over TMS. There's a lot to read and to digest.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on. And yeah, I'll let you know how I get on. Hopefully in 6 months' time, I'm back out in the light, man. I can do an interview with you with the light shining down the back of me, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, you will for sure. I know that's just a screen. That background is just probably a fake screen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on and appreciate it.
You too, man.